The 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, along with classic stories like Pinocchio and other popular myths, fairy tales, and religious parables, depict the task of finding meaning in life as an act of balancing order and chaos, the familiar and the exotic, or security and adventure. People continue to transmit and reread these historical texts alongside works by philosophers such as Socrates and Aristotle. Why do they yearn for universal rules to give meaning to our lives? These are the themes that author Jordan B. Peterson took into account when describing 12 fundamental principles that lead to an ethical and relatively manageable life. He utilizes biology, anthropology, psychology, history, mythology, as well as the ideas of great thinkers and religions. Cultivating trust helps combat interpersonal and social oppression, and such social hierarchies seem to be characteristic of every studied society. Furthermore, these social hierarchies exist among various species of life, spanning hundreds of millions of years. Whether it's a lobster or a human, an animal is capable of determining its place in the hierarchy based on how others treat it. If an animal has low status, its brain limits the amount of available serotonin, making it more reactive and ready to defend itself. This state also consumes a lot of energy, leading to health and postural problems. In the case of humans, bad habits stemming from despair reinforce their place in society. Conversely, for individuals with high status, health, territory, and resources are guaranteed. The path for humble humans to improve their position in society is to adopt the habits of those higher in the hierarchy, rather than acting out. Submissive individuals should strive to maintain an upright posture and act assertively. They should also connect with their own vision. These measures not only improve individuals' lives but also protect them from the tyrannical behavior of their peers. If a sufficient number of members in a society engage in assertive behavior, defending their individual rights, they can prevent political tyranny. In 2015, The Guardian sought advice from various experts on how less assertive people can learn to be more tenacious. Marcia, a psychologist and author of the 2013 book Learn to Say No Without Feeling Guilty, explains that learning to say no in a positive manner can make individuals less intimidating. Firstly, the target of the demand should find a way to thank the requester, such as saying, "Thank you for reaching out." Secondly, the target should buy some time by telling the requester that they will think about the request for a few days. Lastly, the target should offer a smaller favor instead. David H. Hoddall, in his book Your Brain at Work from 2009, teaches that submissive people should learn which social threats they are most sensitive to. By doing so, they become better prepared to counter passive reactions. However, passive individuals should allow themselves to choose their battles. They don't need to confront every attack on their dignity. Following these guidelines for a while, assertiveness should start to come more naturally. Self-care helps moderate the two opposing and potentially destructive forces of the universe, order and chaos. Order includes tradition, plans resulting from planning, social organization, and friendship. An excess of order is tyranny, while chaos is anarchy, disease, ignorance, and bewilderment, but it can also be freedom. Too much order or too much chaos can lead to despair. To find a balance between chaos and order, individuals must take care of their body, mind, and soul. They should speak up and defend themselves against oppression and create order from the chaos of life through healthy and ethical actions. If they can't find motivation to do so on their own, they should imagine that they are taking care of a friend when taking care of themselves on a personal level. Studies have shown that this technique is more effective in promoting empathy, motivation, and wisdom than a self-oriented perspective. In a 2015 study published in the journal Child Development, individuals between the ages of 11 and above were found to be more generous and cooperative when they were asked to imagine themselves as superheroes or helpers rather than simply thinking about themselves. 20 participants were asked about a recent incident that made them very angry. The researchers found that students who visualized an event as if they were distanced from themselves expressed the same emotional distress as those who imagined the event from their own perspective. This is because those who remembered the event from an external or higher perspective were more likely to reconsider it thoughtfully and perceptively, rather than simply reacting. A 2014 study published in the journal Science produced similar results. A group of adults were asked to think about their spouse having an affair with a close friend. The researchers asked the participants to imagine this betrayal from a first-person perspective and then offer advice. The study found that the advice participants gave to others was wiser than the reasoning they engaged in when imagining themselves in the situation. When choosing the healthy and ethical path in life seems like a struggle, it helps to look at the situation as a third-person observer and speak to oneself as if talking to a close friend. Honest and healthy people uplift those around them, but it is not always easy to surround oneself with good friends. Sometimes people end up in the wrong crowd because it is the simpler option, or they do not believe they deserve something better. Other times, they may think they can help the less fortunate, but the less fortunate may also be troublemakers who lead the helpers down the same path. It is difficult to determine if people genuinely need help or if they just want to exploit the person who offered a helping hand, so it is best for a potential helper to refrain. The term pathological altruism describes the phenomenon where well-intentioned behavior directed towards marginalized individuals or groups ends up harming the caregiver's mental and physical health, including depression, guilt, stress disorders, and burnout. Nursing is a field in particular where excessive empathetic effort is linked to this extreme fatigue. Caregiving behavior is also linked to codependency. Instead of automatically acting out of empathy and engaging in helping relationships, it may be important to first fully consider the possible consequences. Due to the infinite diversity of humanity, there are many ways to find satisfaction in life. It is common for individuals to negatively compare their own careers or status with colleagues. However, this neglects the broader reality. In order for people to find their unique path, they must first ask themselves what would give their lives meaning and then move in that direction. However, they should remain open to possibilities they may not yet know as they progress on a path of personal growth. Studies have found that individuals who deeply engage in their own meaningful activities compare themselves less to colleagues. Emily Stephanie Smith, author of The Power of Meaning, 2017, describes what it means to have a meaningful life as living truthfully and engaging in tasks that serve others or society. The masses who adhere to ideologies always have a devil they are willing to eliminate. Ideologues tend to be satisfied with themselves and ready to imitate someone they admire. Ideology should have strong leaders, individuals in whom the personally dissatisfied can find satisfaction. Proselytism and coercion are also traits of ideologues. Often, intense mistrust of ideological movements leads to mass conformity. To find true satisfaction, individuals must cultivate thinking. Living a lie creates internal dissonance because it makes people unhappy. People seek to impose their ideology to prove they are right, to climb the social ladder, to minimize conflicts, essentially to gain control over their situations. When ideologues impose a lie on a societal level, they attempt to transform reality to fit their vision, often with fatal consequences. On the other hand, telling the truth creates a more manageable and enjoyable life. The truth is not absolute. Technologies change over time, and experiences help us progress towards a decent society and prevent corruption. Citizens must pay attention and speak the truth. The need for truth-telling is particularly important for preserving democracies. The press has the potential to act as one of the strongest forces in this effort. It is important for journalists to promote the public disclosure of truth about the government. Trump, known for distorting facts, for example. However, the press has a mixed record when it comes to covering him. As veteran investigative journalist Charles Lewis wrote in The Nation in October 2017, the mainstream media in the lead-up to the election failed to adequately cover Trump's lies. This was because Trump's extravagant rhetoric and behavior were fantastic for TV ratings. As CBS CEO Leslie Moonves said about the network's favorable coverage of Trump, "It may not be good for America, but it's damn good for CBS." Since Trump took office, there has been a shift towards more aggressive journalism, as Lewis points out. The mainstream media has not been as adversarial as it should be in holding those in power accountable. However, Lewis also comments that an even more probative spirit is needed to create accountability. Investigative journalism should be directed at both corporations and the government. Both are equally guilty of lying to the public. Trust in corporate advertising and public relations is low. However, in this perspective, active listening is unlikely. According to Lewis, when people truly listen, they are likely to learn something and come out with an altered and improved worldview. One way to practice active listening, especially during a discussion, is to summarize what the other person said before responding. This increases empathy and helps ensure that the same argument is not repeated in the future. The goal of active listening should be to understand the other person's perspective rather than arguing what to say next. Lewis also suggests taking notes while listening or making eye contact to prevent thoughts from wandering. Researchers believe that humans' ability to remember what was said in a conversation has decreased in recent years due to high levels of digital distraction and less personal interaction. This is a concerning trend considering that even before the digital age, people only retained about 10% of a face-to-face conversation after a brief distraction. Personal growth is harder than it used to be, and learning to listen is more important than ever. Addressing problems allows them to be confronted and resolved rather than sweeping them under the rug. We encourage spreading everyone's experiences and learning from them.